Hey guys, it's Will here and I'm back for another battle report. As you can see behind me, Sam is busy setting up his Orks. We're down here at 40k Gaming in Colchester and yeah, we've got a 2,000 point Maelstrom of War mission for you. I'm bringing my Salamanders tonight, seeing if I can do a little bit better than I did in my last game with them. And Sam's running his Orks, and he's actually warming up for 40k Gaming's Ultimate Commander tournament. So, although it's Orks, don't expect him to be pulling any punches. This could be quite a tough list for Orks. But anyway, let's take a look at the armies. Right, the Salamander Army I'm running tonight is the same list I used in my last Batrep, and although it didn't do too well then, I'm not writing it off just yet. I want to give it a proper go out and see what it can do, with a few changes to how I play it rather than what's actually in it. So, Battalion Detachment, 2,000 points, and we've got Vulcan Hestan down here leading the force, and my Librarian, he's going to have the Relic, the Armor Indomitus, so that gives him a 2+ save and a 1 turn invuln save. Got my 3 troops choices, 2 5-man tactical squads. This one is Flamer Combi Flamer, this one is Melter Combi Melter, and then a 10-man squad with a plasma cannon, plasma gun and a power fist because I had a few points left over. Transports got 2 Razorbacks and a Rhino. Both the Razorbacks have the Storm Bolter upgrades, and then Heavy Bolters and Las Cannons as their respective turret weapons. I got a Predator. This got blown up in my first turn last time around, so hoping this is actually going to achieve something today. Got the Predator cannon on the turret there and the Las Cannon sponsons. Terminators, again, coming off the back of quite a bad game last time around and hoping for some better results. Got the the shooty variant on there and an assault cannon. And I've got Storm Raven. Now this generally has been my star unit in this list this edition. I've got the multi-melters and the assault cannons on there, and that's going to be carrying a 10-man Stern Guard squad that will probably combat squad. Got 3 combi melters in there, a flamer, a heavy flamer and a combi flamer, so a nice little mix of weapons. And there'll also be a dreadnought going on in there. It's just the standard dreadnought model with the multi-melter and the storm bolter, and that is a rather compact, rather elite 2,000 points of Salamanders. And outnumbering me about 5 to 1 is Sam's Orks. So if we zoom in here and find the HQs, he's got a war boss with the custom shooter and Ed Whopper's kill chopper, and then he's got a weird boy who's basically in there just for the jump. Then we got all the boys, 30 shooter boys, 30 shooter boys, 20 slugger boys, 20 slugger boys, 20 storm boys, 10 burner boys, 10 tank buster boys, and 10 more burner boys. So a huge wodge of core infantry and some elite stuff. I'm assuming all 3 of these units are going in the 3 trucks he's brought along, and then he's also got 2 battle wagons. Both look pretty bare bones. They've got ARD cases and 2 big shooters, but other than that, pretty empty, pretty sort of basic, obviously to transport these 2 mobs. So yeah, I have a feeling with the combination of the jump, the battle wagons, the trucks, the storm boys, although this list looks very like slow moving infantry, it's not. It's going to be on top of me really quickly. So yeah, let's see what mission we roll up and how on earth I'm going to kill all these Orks. Okay, so we are all set up. We've rolled up the Dawn of War deployment, and the mission is Sealed Orders from the Chapter Approved book. So we start off with 6 objectives each and can only draw new ones once we've got rid of all of those, be it by discarding them or by scoring them. So could be interesting. I've not played this one before. Because I was outnumbered, I decided to cluster up on one side of the board really and keep everyone safe. So we've got 2 combat squads in there, squad with the melters in there, squad with the flamers over here, Predator in the back, drawing some line of sight to priority targets. Everything else apart from the Terminators in the Storm Raven and the Terminators in reserve. Absolute horde of Orks facing off against me here. We've got the Burners and the War Boss closest. We've got the Storm Boys, battle wagon with the big mob of boys, another big mob of boys hiding behind there, tank busters in the truck, another battle wagon full of boys, truck full of burner boys, and then we've got the boys over there who I think are going to benefit from the jump. I think what he's planning to do with that weird boy is keep him in the truck for first turn, keep him safe, and then he's going to step out of there and to jump these guys right over here is what I think is going to happen if he gets the first turn. But we don't know what's going to be happening yet. Let's see. Roll off the first turn. I got a 2, he got a 1. That's fine, I had +1 anyway. And he's going to try and seize the initiative. No, it's a 4. Initiative not stolen. So here we go with Salamanders Turn One. So my 6 objectives were not ideal. Death from above looks achievable, and I also thought I might be able to get secure 5, and to that end I ran the Rhino forward after disembarking one of the squads inside so that I could get on that objective. And then my plan was to use the firepower of the Storm Raven to try and score me first blood off the truck. But despite 2 melter guns and 2 storm strike missiles, sorry, multi-melters and storm strike missiles, the truck lived thanks to ramshackle and some poor dice rolling on my part. Assault cannon did take out 5 of the storm boys though, who suffered another casualty from the plasma cannon down here. Then tried to use the Razorback to finish off the truck, but had some pretty poor rolls to hit, and that was carried on with the Predator that didn't do a great deal either. In fact, rolled a double 1 for the las cannons when it targeted the Razorback, sorry, the battle wagon, but I did take off a 3 hull points, sorry, 3 wounds. I thought I was playing 7th ed there, 3 wounds with the autocannon. Then this Razorback tried to finish off the truck, but completely fluffed its dice. So not a great turn. I did score the 1 point for getting this Rhino up to objective 5, but still got a long way to go, so not sort of panicking too much yet, but that is a lot of Orks, and I didn't thin them down anywhere near as much as I would have liked. A typically aggressive start to the first turn for the Orks, all of his transport vehicles moving up, and the guys behind there stepping up, just a few of them on there so the big shooters can shoot. Weird Boy stepped out of his truck and cast a jump on the squad that were there, jumping them all the way over into this corner. They then shot the Predator before assaulting it for a total of 8 wounds, and then this really stupid scenario where the Predator literally cannot move. And it's like, well, it's a big tank, it should just be able to run them over, but apparently it can't. So yeah, I like 8th edition, but that part really annoys me. But the tank's still alive at least. The majority of his shooting actually focused on this Rhino, and he put a total of 8 wounds on it from all of these big shooters and the tank busters rockets. But thankfully he failed to wreck it, so that's still alive. Burner Boys shot the Storm Raven, another thing they really shouldn't be able to do. That's an aircraft. How do you shoot an aircraft with a flamethrower? But did a couple of wounds to it, and then the Storm Boys put 7 wounds onto it. So Storm Raven is a bit beaten up, but it's still good to go. And yeah, I was a bit lucky there in the end. Before he assaulted, I really thought I was going to take worse casualties than I did. I was thinking I'd probably end up losing this Predator, but yeah, nothing actually destroyed, just a lot of wounds handed out. So first blood is still up for grabs. He did score 3 secure objectives though, for objective 4, 5 and 6? No, 4, 2 and 6. So we got some objectives scored there, 3 points to 1 so far, and we head into the second Space Marine turn. Okay then, so Space Marine turn 2. Unloaded the Storm Raven to bring out all these guys around his Storm Boys and Burner Boys that were threatening my flank there. And then shot the Storm Raven off there. Again, the Storm Raven had some pretty poor luck with shooting, really didn't do a lot. Killed a few boys from there, took a few wounds off that truck. The ramshackle thing that he keeps rolling 6s for, so my melters are only doing like 1 damage. But over here, as you can see, these guys really cleaned house. By the time they'd finished shooting, the truck was gone, all the burner boys were gone and all the storm boys were gone, but I did have to use quite a lot of force to do it. But hey, it's a nice clear out there. But these guys are now ready to go after their transport was wrecked by the combined firepower of this squad, the Razorback, and these guys here who had disembarked. This Rhino stayed still, sort of biding its time, ready to bring the right guys out at the right time, and I decided to leave the Terminators still in reserves to bring on at just the right moment. Down here in the assault phase, this didn't quite go so well. I couldn't move my Predator out, so I was faced with just leaving it in combat and hoping it would survive to hold these guys up. But it didn't, and it died, and now these Orks are rampaging 3. That also scored him Defend Objective 6 and Blood and Guts, so he got 3 points in my turn, whereas I only actually managed to pull off Death from Above. No, I didn't even manage to pull that off because my Storm Raven still didn't get the killer blow on anything. So end of my turn, I'm going to discard that. I'm going to use a command point to discard those 3 with the mission specific things. So yeah, hopefully I can get some better cards because they've just not been in my favour right now. But you know, there's a nice chunk of Orks dead there, but there's still far too many of them bearing down on me. A brutal counterattack from the Orks. These boys over here moved up, charged the Razorback, and left it on just 2 wounds remaining and locked up, tied down in combat. Over here, this squad had originally been there, and the weird boy used the jump to get them over here. They then shot for the combat squad from the Stern Guards and wiped them out. And the tank busters in this truck wiped out the Dreadnought with a vicious volley of shooting. Over here, the boys in that wagon and the wagon itself fired at that Rhino that had already taken some wounds and apparently couldn't roll saves today and wrecked it. These guys got out over here, having lost another man. And the flamers, the burners, wiped out the small squad that were there. So absolutely brutal turn for the Orks. Then in assaults, he got into a fight with the Stern Guard over here, wiped them out and consolidated into the tactical squad. So he scored 5 points on no prisoners, so that left him with just the 1 point, despite killing 5 units. And I think you had Secure Objective 4 as well, which he got with his Weird Boy. So yeah, things are all starting to fall apart, and apparently I can't roll armour saves, despite, you know, having power armour. So here we go with Space Marine turn 2. So, drew new objectives this turn, and although a lot of these seemed achievable at first, there was always just something stopping me from doing it, and that something was usually either a lack of Space Marines or an excess of Orks. I did bring my Terminators down over here, they shot these guys along with the Razorback and put some nice damage on there, and over here my Storm Raven was able to wreck that truck and put some hurt on that one. And this tactical squad killed a couple of the boys, the burner boys, that got out of that truck. And then Vulcan, the Librarian, and the Terminators shot up the squad that was here before charging them. Oh, sorry, the Terminators didn't shoot them, the Terminators shot them, but Vulcan, Librarian shot them, as did this squad. Terminators, Vulcan, Librarian charged in, and that resulted in them being wiped out for no casualties in return. But, in the grand scheme of things, it feels like small victories. There's still a huge mob of boys down there that finished off my Razorback, a 20-man squad in there, this squad that's just above half strength, tank busters, burner boys. I'm just outnumbered. He scored Defend Objective 2 that turn, and yeah, I didn't score anything. I'm going to discard, I think I'm going to discard Lightning Strike because I have to kill a unit in his deployment zone. He has no units in his deployment zone, they've all just moved out. I thought that weird boy might have been in range, but he's not, he's just out, so not a lot I can do there. And yeah, so it's all going pear-shaped, but we will go down fighting. So end of turn 3, and things are looking really bleak for the Salamanders right now. Not going to lie to you, we are done for. So these guys obviously just moved across and wiped out that squad. Over here, the big mob shot the Terminators, which to be fair didn't do a lot, but then they did kill a couple in the assault. Yeah, then these guys shot the Storm Raven again. They shouldn't be able to, but they did. And yeah, that's another wound on there. And he's now got 11 points to my 2. And I really don't see myself coming back from this. Terminators are going to be tied down for at least another turn. I've barely got any models left on the board. So I think we are going to call that there, because it's a crushing victory for the Orks. Good game, mate. You played really well. And we'll see you guys in a minute for post-game. Okay, so yeah, we called it on turn 3 there because it was just a brutal thrashing for the Salamanders there. The Orks just didn't seem to be able to stop them. It didn't help that my dice seemed cursed tonight. But,
yeah,
you know,
they weren't great tonight.
I made a few big tactical errors, whereas Sam, I think you've got that list really down. You know what does what and it works.
I'd say Orks are still but knowing what works, sort of, the Burner Boys are a key unit there, really good. The Weird Boy is what I really need to keep my bigger units going, and boys are always good. So, and Tank Busters, I wish I had more sometimes, but they're too pointsy.
Yeah, say Orks. Yeah, they may not be the strongest codex out there, but you certainly know what you're doing with them.
Yeah,
whereas
I've been playing them straight since November.
Which I think is where I'm going wrong. I've sort of flicked around between a few armies, and I think I just need to pick a faction and focus on it. And for those of you who saw my recent upload on my Eldar, it's going to be my Eldar for a while. So apologies for those of you who want to see me play someone else. I mean, I've got the Sides of the Emperor in the Tale of 4 Gamers, but for my normal Batreps, I think I really just need to focus on the Eldar.
Yeah, I say with the last game we played, Orks versus Eldar, you made the same mistake in that game that you did with your Eldar, where you're rushing units out too quickly. You dropped your Flamer Vets out of the Storm Raven on that turn. You really didn't need them. No, they did nothing. No,
in hindsight, I didn't. The problem was in the first turn, I'd hit you with all my long-range firepower and it just seemed to bounce. Nothing stuck. So second turn I wanted to hit you harder, so kind of I thought this would be about the right amount and then add a bit more in to be sure, and it turned out to be overkill, and that exposed my units.
I say even Space Marines are just so squidgy once they're out of their transports. I mean, I didn't even manage to get a unit of Orks out of their transport. I stay in there as long as possible until, you know, I can be effective. Yeah. And that mob of 30 that got into your Predator, just that tactic, I kept getting decent enough charges that I was able to get round you, like 10s and 12s. So with the piling and the consolidation, I can get round you doing it cleverly. Yeah, with Horde Infantry, that's a really good way to lock down tanks. I mean, the idea of just running light infantry into tanks to stop them shooting for a turn is good, but with Orks it's even better because you can wrap them, and I guess the same would apply to Termagants. Yeah, so it's a trick. But I found with Orks, War Bosses are great, Big Mechs are great, Pain Boys, Wild Banners are great. But you're moving on to units. All your flyers are subpar and overpriced. Big guns are cool, but a little overpriced and a little bit squishy. Your elites are a little overpriced, but they're decent for their points. Your heavies are crap. Like, Death Dreads are just awful. I mean, every time I've got a Death Dread out, I've just cried. Killer Cans overpriced. Gorkanaut, Morkanaut overpriced. So, the take home from this game is Orks need a codex. Orks need a codex desperately, and Will needs to get some more practice in with one army and get good with this game. Focusing on a faction. If you're playing at home and you're flipping between factions thinking, oh, why are none of my armies working? Just stick with it. It was so hard to stick with my Orks until they got good, and I kept saying, I want to make Orks great. And you stick with it, and you stick with it, and you eventually get there. So, yeah, practice makes perfect. Excellent. Well, thanks a lot for watching, guys, and thank you for the advice, Sam. And I'll see you guys again soon. Bye. Bye.